Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today here at WeGro with today's AMA. This is July 27th, 2022, and we're coming to you live around the world from the United States and associated territories. We're so excited that we could be here today for you to update you on the progress of what's happening in the world of WeGro. And we're going to get a couple of legalities and admin out of the way. For the purposes of keeping things very clear, the statements, opinions, and analyses presented in today's AMA are literally provided as general information. Opinions, estimates, probabilities are a current snapshot of today's market disposition and are subject to change without notice. While all the information in today's presentation we believe to be 100% accurate, the presenters and hosts make no express guarantee as to the completeness or accuracy of the information shared. However, such information in today's broadcast should not be construed as forward-looking statements pursuant to any projected earnings or investment advice for making buying decisions. Now that we have taken care of our well-respected legal staff, I'm so excited to say we're back, and we have a great update today from our team. And today with us, we have our president and CEO, the genesis of WeGro Coin, Mr. Sean Crawford.
Hey guys.
We have our co-founder and chief experience officer, our marketing guru, Mr. Walt Rampata.
Hey everybody.
We have our new director of education, who is leading the new Power Hour that so successfully launched last week, Mr. Joe Brown.
Hi, everybody.
And last but not least, we have the WeGro data architect and visionary co-founder and CEO, Mr. Rick Gilchrist.
Everybody.
And with that, I'm going to pass the baton on to Mr. Walt Rampata. And I want to just give kudos out before we do that to our director of marketing, Abby Sklar, who's running the entire back-end show behind the scenes, as well as several other individuals unnamed but are so appreciated. And thank you so much for being here. Walt, why don't you take us away?
Thank you, Todd. You started things off fantastically, and again, I want to stress the thanks that I have for the rest of the team that surrounds us. As I've noted on previous conversations and AMAs, WeGro is a whole lot more than the sum total of the things that we do. WeGro is the heart and soul behind everything that we do, and that is made up of all the individual people that are helping push this boat, this train, this car down the road. And rocket ship, yeah, I like that. So with that, thank you for giving kudos to Abby, who's allowing us and helping us today put on this AMA. Without further ado, it's been what now, 4 weeks since our last AMA, which was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. A little bit different scenery today. We've got things jumbled up, as you can see. I'm down here with Rick Gilchrist. We got everybody else kind of scattered about because things are busy as normal within WeGro. And since the last time that we've come to you, we've continued to push forward on a lot of initiatives and a lot of things that we're excited to tell you about. Number one, marketing. We're doing a lot in the form of marketing for the organization, both internally and externally. Some of this may not be visible to our population, but it will be very soon. And some of the things that are happening behind the scenes is preparation for what's coming into the future. Our focus with WeGro, first and foremost, is the community that surrounds us and those that support us. And so everything that we do is focused on providing benefit to those that are surrounding us and to our holders. So in forward looking into the future, we have a number of initiatives that we're working on right now from a marketing perspective. One of the things that we've talked about extensively on previous AMAs is our exchange listing run-up. That is still continuing to happen in the background. However, we've been cognizant of the market. Let's be clear, in many respects, this summer has been challenging for the crypto industry and finances around crypto in general. So recognizing that, we're being strategic about where we are placing our funds. We're being strategic about the relationships that we're establishing. And we're very excited about some new relationships that we've codified over the last few weeks that will be materializing in the coming months. I can't get into too many details other than to say that it is greatly going to benefit the holders. Number one, being on these exchanges will bring an additional set of attention, interest, eyeballs, and additional holders to our community. So all of that will be a benefit to those that are currently holding WeGro and to those that pursue purchasing WeGro in the future. But the timing is such that we're looking over the next few months to optimize when the market is going to turn back on. And based on our internal understandings and our touch directly to the market, we've got some expectations that things will be turning around this fall. As to exactly when and where and how, that we can't necessarily pinpoint, but we have enough of an understanding with our expertise as to pinpoint what we feel is going to be the upside for our community. And based on that, we're timing and being strategic about the reinvestments that we're making into our community and into the company, specific to optimize the timing around when the market turns back on. So on that, hold tight. Some great things are coming in front of us. I know we've kind of dangled that carrot before, but truly we have some amazing things that are now locked in and scheduled for the next coming weeks and months. In addition to the exchange listing run-up, about 2 months ago, we switched gears and we hired a new agency of record. We've had some, you in our community may have noticed some of the changes, most apparently in our social channels. Some of the creative has changed, some of the look and the feel that you're seeing, and even some of the volume of posts that we're putting out there have changed. The dynamics have changed, and we're being, again, more purposeful about the communications that we're putting into the market. That being said, today's AMA is very much an answer to the questions that we've received from the community. You know, following our last AMA in Fort Lauderdale, we received a great deal of input, questions, comments, and some concerns. But quite frankly, today we put this AMA together to address those things. And so you'll notice our format's going to be a little bit different throughout the course of this AMA. Number one, we have Joe Brown joining us today, understanding the complexities and the questions that have come at us from the last AMA. We thought it pertinent to have our Director of Education join us today and set the stage for our community in answering some of the key glossary terms that we're going to discuss today. There's a lot that goes into making the cake, so to speak, here at WeGro, and some of that terminology is foreign to many people. So in trying to keep everybody as understanding of where we're heading, we thought it might be helpful to bring, again, Joe to the mix today and help guide some of the things that we're going to be talking about so there's a better understanding from our community. Without further ado, I'm going to actually pass the mic to Joe in just a moment, and he's going to talk about some of the key glossary terms that popped up as a result of what we talked about in the last AMA. But I would be remiss if I didn't stress that if in fact you don't get the information you're seeking, or you still have questions after today's AMA, and we're going to mention this a few times during today's AMA, please join us for our Power Hour this Friday. It'll be our second Power Hour. Our first one was phenomenally received and well attended. We advise that if you're struggling in any fashion, have any types of questions about crypto, about DeFi, about blockchain, or any of the terminology that surrounds this industry, please join us this Friday for our AMA. It's real simple. You'll find in our social channels a link to register. We need everybody to register because in that process, we're being, again, very purposeful in the communications that we're positioning, and understanding who's joining us gives us a lot more detail as to what to say, quite frankly, and to provide the most important information to those people that are attending. So again, real excited about everything we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to pass the mic now to Joe, who's going to talk about some of the key things that have been addressed from our community as concerns, meaning namely the terms that people are struggling with. So with that, Joe Brown.
Thank you, Walt. I appreciate it. And anyone who wants to join for our Power Hour, we're excited to have you. The time is 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And make sure you do sign up. If you join the last one, you're not going to automatically be included in this one. So please just sign up, and we look forward to seeing you. And as Walt stated, WeGro has some very exciting things coming up in the upcoming months. And we want to make sure that you, our great community, doesn't get confused by some of the jargon and terms that you'll be hearing. So I'm going to briefly break down a few of these terms so that you feel like you're educated on them and they don't come at you out of the blue. So the first one is an ICO. What is that? That's essentially an initial coin offering. This is in the cryptocurrencies industry's equivalent of an initial public offering, an IPO. But in the crypto world, it's an ICO. And this is what a company does when they seek to raise money to create a new coin, an app, or a service that can launch an ICO as a way to raise funds. Interested investors can buy into an initial coin offering, the ICO, to receive a new cryptocurrency token issued by the company. This token may have some utility related to the product or service the company is offering, or represent a stake in that company or project. So you'll be hearing ICO coming up in the near future. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to join our AMA or just send emails to members of our team and we'll be sure to help you. Another term that you're going to be hearing in the near future is bridge. A bridge is a blockchain bridge, otherwise known as a cross-chain bridge, connects two blockchains and allows users to send cryptocurrency from one chain to the other. Basically, if you have like Bitcoin, but want to spend it like Ethereum, you need to do this through a bridge. One of the biggest problems in the blockchain industry was the inability for these different projects to work together. While fluid and somewhat efficient as a single entity, each blockchain is limited by the walls of its own domain. Most often, this can lead to high transaction costs and create congestion on the blockchain. Blockchain bridges solve this problem by enabling token transfers, smart contracts, data exchange, and other feedback and instructions between two independent platforms or blockchains. So these are just a few of the topics that we'll help cover on our AMA, as well as purchasing and exchanges. So these will be some exciting terminologies. You'll learn more, and it'll be the next step in helping to educate you, our community, so you're not blindsided or confused by some of the wording that we use. So thank you guys. I hope that helps, and we'll pass it along to Sean to add some more onto that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Joe. So yeah, lots of cool stuff happening, and what it means for the WeGro holder, I think is the main topic of today. So, just to kind of reiterate, we are reinvesting back into WeGro. The new ICO. I know people are like, oh, should I get my funds ready for that? Am I supposed to sell off my WeGro and buy Hyperturning? And all I'll say revolving around that is we are doubling down on WeGro and what we have plans for it, what we plan on doing with it. So besides the exchanges, which we're going into as well, and its placement on the new blockchain, which will provide operability to WeGro that doesn't currently have, which we can start taking advantage of some apps that we can create on the new block surrounding this, which is really great. But then we're also working at developing we're actually onboarding our first clients under WeGro in the CAM space, and I'm not at liberty to get into the specifics of that because we are working through the deals right now, but we will be onboarding them, and the onboarding of these clients should result in some positive benefits for the WeGro community in terms of volume and other ways in which it will benefit. So sticking true to the plans of WeGro, that's what we're doing. We're going to continue that out and give WeGro the operability that we have intended on giving it from its origination. So, and that is all happening in conjunction with the ICO. So, things to remember, WeGro is going to be the first token on Hyperturn. So every project that builds after that will inevitably help bolster the value of Hyperturn, and in relation to the same way that Binance is in part the value of the current WeGro, Hyperturn will be in part the value of the WeGro that exists on that blockchain. So we are exploring options that, we're evaluating the functions of mechanisms to ensure the long-term viability and stability of any bridges that we may or may not be able to stand up, but we are taking that very seriously. Having a stable bridge between the two is critical to us, and it's not just like flipping on a switch. So we are going to take our time and navigate this correctly, so we will not be subject to exploitation or security issues. So we will be taking that very seriously moving forward, and just want to kind of set everyone's minds at ease that something that we is very important to us. We also want to maximize the interoperability to create the most value for the holders. So that's another key factor that's driving our decisions there. But we will be exploring those options, and those will be the preferred options. We will not be looking at a fork, guys. Just so everyone knows, the F word, don't even bring it up. So we're looking at expanding the ecosystem and not kind of closing ourselves in. So we'll let you know if anything changes, but that's not in our plans nor roadmap. So that's great stuff. And I know a lot of people were asking, like, what's that going to mean for the 8% tax, and how does that work now on the new blockchain? We're looking at keeping everything the same. If we have it our way, you won't have to do a thing, and everything can kind of coexist there. The 8% tax will remain. So everyone knows a clear answer there. The 8% tax will remain on the new blockchain. So with some of the new clients that we're looking at onboarding, obviously, you can't have an 8% tax at the store if you're trying to ring up for gas. If gas is expensive enough, I don't think we need 8% thrown on there, and I think that would really prohibit the use of WeGro in those instances. So we will be looking at lowering the tax down to a more palatable 2%, which would then come out to 0.5% going to liquidity, 0.5% going to redistribution, 0.5% to the 2% ecosystem expansion wallet, and 0.5% for administrative, because there will be costs associated with these projects. So that is the model for the new clients that we're looking to onboard. But other than that, everything else will remain the same with the 8% crypto to crypto transactions, as always stated. So I hope that kind of answers everything. I know that some of it is a little vague, guys, so just bear with us, because we are navigating, and we don't want to backtrack and tell you something that we're going to have to possibly take back later. But what we do know is that on the ICO, that we are doing everything to ensure the long-term viability and stability of the project, and keeping the interest of the holders at heart, and doing our best to navigate that, knowing how you guys would want it. So but with that, I think that's it. And again, please join us for the Power Hour. There's so much cool information you'll be able to pull from that will help give a little bit of light to maybe some of these terms and how bridges work, and what we're looking to do. So exciting stuff. Really excited to get this going. You'll hear more about this coming up in terms of ICO and release dates and things like that. But we have a little time, guys. It's not going to be tomorrow. it's going to be a little bit down the line here. Again, our main concentration is on WeGro. On WeGro token, as it exists on the Binance Smart Chain, and when we do make the jump to Hyper-Turing, it will be as seamless as we can make it for you guys, and give the best positive results that we can make it for you. So with that, like I said, look forward to seeing you guys at the Power Hour.
So one thing to stress, and I want to jump in here with piggybacking on what Sean said, is that WeGro token is not going away. It's not disappearing. Nothing's happening to it. And I want to stress that because one of the confusion or some of the confusion that's resulted out of some of our conversations in the community has been with the launch of Hyper-Turing, will WeGro token disappear? What happens to my investment there or my tokens that I hold and things like that? Well, nothing's changing in that scenario. And Sean can re-stress this, but nothing in that scenario is changing. What's happening, to Sean's point, is we're reinvesting, as we've always stated, back into the organization and building out the ecosystem to add more functionality with the advent of our own blockchain, and on that blockchain, the advent of additional tokens and coins that will be released to support it. And we'll talk more about that in the coming weeks in the more specifics. But Rick, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that has always been part of the roadmap is that the WeGro token was specific to both industry and functionality. That's not the same case with the Hyper-Turing, and that is why they're mutually exclusive, but will be able to balance each other out, or specifically to CAM industry and business to business, as well as business to consumer and patient transactions. So it has very specific utility designed with that in mind, along with the partnerships that we've already established, specifically to support the applications that are being developed internally, as well as with other partners.
It's supposed to function as a symbiotic value add to both WeGro and to Hyper-Turing, giving the functionality between the two to allow us to address problems that we have seen in the CAM market space and other places data related in terms of Hyper-Turing. So we're creating an ecosystem in which these things can kind of exist symbiotically. So.
Great.
At the end of the day, it's manifest destiny. If you want to use an analogy, this is the original plan, the utility behind WeGro Coin. At the end of the day, we have a sustainable business model, and that business model always had the first phase of the blockchain as a service, providing support and opportunity for WeGro Coin to increase in value based upon that symbiotic relationship that Sean and Rick just alluded to. So folks, we have met our first version of Manifest Destiny last month when we released our first node onto the blockchain. And as the different iterations and phases roll out, it will continue to provide that utility back to WeGro Coin. This is one reason why other coins have faltered or gone away during this dip. We've maintained solidarity and have stayed the course to our actual business plan that outside advisors, as well as our expert team inside, have said that this is sustainable and have confirmed that it's sustainable. And so though we've seen the valuation dip, the business plan has moved forward with solidarity, again, not to be redundant. And so I know, Rick, we had a lot of confirmation, Rick, in Silicon Valley, the toughest audience of them all, who really gravitated to not only that business plan being sustainable, but showed a lot of excitement in a time that really is more bullish than bearish. And to have excitement in a bullish market is, in a bearish market is just it's very, very uncommon. Anyway, if you want to add to that, Rick, would love to hear what you have to say.
So it's interesting is that while the quote crypto winter in the cooling off period with cryptocurrency in general has been the most notable about the industry. That the VCs, the PEs, the angel groups themselves, they're investing in the companies right now. They may not be exchanging their holdings in actual projects themselves, but the companies, those are actually increasing. And if you look at the comparison between the same investment at the same time last year to now, it's actually higher than it was at the same time, which is not only encouraging, but we see the behavior around these investments thinking, well, we're getting at this at the discount, because when these do rally back up, when we start seeing these increase again, that's going to further increase the value of the companies behind them and their applications. So we've already been seeing them. We see a big run up outside of the exchange run up, a big run up on the investment side of this between now and through September, with a Q4 pop, as it were. And if you're looking at those that are publicly traded versus those that are still in private placement, those are both escalating at the same rate.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, Rick, what we heard is that, is there a need? Is there a vacuum?
Well, it's a good thing you said that, because it's not the quote unquote need for cryptocurrency. It's the need for blockchain technology solutions.
Yeah.
And that's what people are investing right now in, those solutions. The fact that we have an ability to provide a natural immutable ledger system that gives you functionality, that gives you utility. Very large companies have tried to do this over the past 5 years. And, I love the terminology, it's like kind of turning the Titanic. It's just such a big effort. So when we talk to organizations that say, yeah, we reserve $2 million in several years to get on the blockchain, and we still know it's going to cost us a lot of money to do transactions, how do we get around that? We're going to delay it. Or in many cases, how do we take advantage of Web 3.0 and the blockchain for my business? Why is it even important? So we're at that juxtaposition where explaining that and showing the utility and showing the savings ends up becoming not a value add, but a must have.
Yeah.
Looking at the CAM industry in particular, there is a $120 billion loss in productivity and spending around both compliance, around the reporting itself. In particular, one of our use cases, they're spending an additional 14 hours just reconciling multiple ledgers into one for their point of sale and their e-commerce. Well, 14 hours a week adds up pretty quickly when you're talking about man hours. Additionally, the same clinic is spending about $110,000 a month on compliance and compliance auditing. That's something that would be greatly reduced by near 80%, if not more, by having a Web 3.0 solution in place when it comes to compliance, because the natural audit record exists within the framework in which they're operating. So when you're able to tell this story to those that are adjacent or directly touching the medical industry, the wellness industry, industry that's heavily on compliance like energy and carbon credit and hemp credit, as well as minority business credits, this allows them to actually have a solution now versus 2 or 3 years from now, when they're thinking about the perceived costs and the efforts associated with that type of change management.
And at the end of the day, all of us here have been a part of startups and exits, and we've all heard the analogies and the wisdom behind early to market, late to market, and just right. And we're very cautious to talk about the kinds of problems we're going to fix in the future. But what we're not cautious about is what we're actually able to fix today, as you just alluded to, Rick, which also includes telehealth, which also includes the overarching industry of health and wellness. And if you add that to CAM, I believe, Rick, I think your analysts have reported back to you that it's a $2.73 trillion industry that we're starting with, which leaves a lot of not low-hanging fruit, but fruit on the ground. And that's what we're focused on. And as Sean alluded to earlier, there is a distinctive crosswalk and bridge betwixt the two worlds of WeGro Coin and WeGro Data. And so we feel like we're just on time. And again, Rick and I spent 36 hours at a very critical time in Silicon Valley when they're thinking, do we pivot? Do we delay? And so when we presented our case, which we were validated as there's a huge vacuum, a sustainable business model, and
Let me actually
and then you
give
have
some framework around that. It's not even
Perfect, thank
presenting
you.
the case. It's they presented problems and we were able to look at their problem with a solution in mind around our blockchain.
That's exactly right.
You,
Yeah.
you think back to Microsoft when they first came out with Windows. They didn't come out with Windows to solve the problem of desktop publishing or editing pictures or running your business software. They built the operating system for others to build on it and create those applications. So while we know that we're going to be able to solve a lot of problems by creating this operating system, the intent allows us to tackle the problems as they are apparent through analysis and by the community themselves bringing them to us.
Yes.
Correct. The projects that build DApps on the operating system will expand its capability tenfold. Correct. That'll be the driving use of Hyperturing.
Absolutely. And the beauty of it, folks, and Rick, if you could comment on this, is that we're agnostic. So the use case is going to be different for each particular individual industry. Though we understand our core niche, the great news is that you have the most flexible opportunity for anybody to fill the need based on their individual use case. So we don't get stuck under a tractor beam, in other words, like some products and industries which ebb and flow. With blockchain, it's an evolutionary platform. And so in the same way that we saw in the years between 2012 and 2015, when the world had to migrate to the cloud, Enterprise internationally has recognized the same need to the blockchain. And if you could elaborate, Rick, I know you're probably more eloquent in describing it.
So no, I appreciate the fact that you use the word agnostic because that's what we are. And while I'm sure that we will have our own marketing for our own products, our own services, our own tokenized assets, we already see the requests and need to be able to use other tokens at point of sale. The ability for consumers to have multi-source wallets. So does that mean you're not going to be able to use your Bitcoin or your Ethereum or your other coin? No, we're building this so we can really support that interoperability. Outside of just the transactional side of that, the other aspect is that the compliance, the middleware, the reporting software is out there. We want to make sure that we can work at a very high level to allow for all of those to work on our system. I know I drill it back to the operating system analogy with Windows. I have many competing apps on my own computer, and I use them with what I need to use. So I may be using Google Slides one day to do a shared document. Another day I'm using PowerPoint because I need to maintain some control. So in that same vein, we're building that to be able to plan around that and future-proof it, because as we've seen from the last 17 years in the way blockchain is being utilized, it becomes very compartmentalized.
Yes.
I look at the number one e-commerce solution out there right now. If you don't use their payment solution with their platform, they actually require you to pay an additional fee to use somebody else's. We don't want to be in that where we're creating hurdles or barriers to entry for usage for our product.
Well, and that speaks exactly to the value proposition of the cloud 10 years ago. We're creating ease of use in an agnostic environment. We're creating an opportunity for disparate programs, whether it be the infrastructure within an organization that's siloed, to work together, to have more connectivity. So it's really the last frontier of streamlining a complex world of ecosystems that have disparate universes and streamlining that. That's very exciting. That's a sustainable business model. And that's why our investment community is excited. That's why the WeGro coin holders have maintained 90% retention, ladies and gentlemen, from the time that we launched in December 16th of last year till now. And that's why we're super excited about what's going to happen with the ICO coming up, as Sean announced. So I don't know what else we could add to that, but to stay tuned and to expect monthly communication about our evolution and progress. And on that note, Walt, I don't know if you want to touch base a little bit more on anything coming soon, or Rick, but I think we've pretty much exhausted the update.
The only thing I might add to that, Todd, is a big warm thank you from all of us here at WeGro
Yes.
to the community that's been helping drive this, and your support is just absolutely wonderful. And thank you for allowing us to do the job that we need to do to make this a reality. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Sean, for your leadership. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, I'd echo that thanks as well. Again, it's without the community, without our holders, without all of the hearts and souls behind this, we wouldn't be here today. So I concur on that, Sean. What I will say, kind of in closing to your point, Todd, I think we've exhausted the purpose of today's AMA and trying to address some of the questions and concerns and input that we received surrounding our last AMA, specific to the advance of and launch of our own blockchain and what that means to our community, specific to our ICO and whenever that's going to happen. As we've noted today, we don't have a definitive timeline on that, other than to say that we are working to optimize how that plays out for our holder community, and optimize it in a fashion where at the end of the day, you won't have to do anything. That's our ultimate goal. So until we have the final details on all that stuff, we don't want to add any more additional questions to the community or any confusion. We'd rather come back to you with a definitive plan and provide you exactly how things are going to roll out. So again, the purpose of today was to kind of address some of that concern and let you know we hear you. We're working very diligently internally to make everything that we've talked about a reality. But again, bear with us. We're working to make sure that we optimize this for everybody surrounding us. In closing, what I will say is that if you do have further questions, we've stressed this a couple of times on today's AMA, please join us on our Power Hour this week. It's Friday at 3 o'clock. Please register and join us there. Additionally, I also will say that start checking your inboxes. We're trying to be more proactive in communicating with our holder community in general. So you'll notice in advance of today's AMA, we sent out an email to everybody letting them know. We're trying to provide more updates, more information on a more regular basis to our community. So pay attention to your inbox and set WeGro as a non-spam URL for your email carriers. Please respond. If you've got questions, concerns, input, we'd love to hear from our community. Very simply, when you receive those emails, just hit the respond button and it'll go to us and we'll address them as they come through.
Thank you,
So
Walt.
with that,
just keeping it honest, Walt.
thank you. Yeah.
I just it's actually 3:30 on Friday, the Power Hour.
Thank
So
you.
3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. Thank God for chat on Zoom, guys. Right? What would we do without it? So, Joe, we're looking forward to seeing you and helping to reinforce understanding and clarity. And thank you, Rick, for your leadership and keeping us steadfast with the business plan. And Walt, the messaging has been fantastic. And Abby, once again in the background, thank you for managing the controls. I think that does it, folks. So we're going to send you off with a wishing for blessings and health and happiness for you and your families. And thank you so much for joining today's AMA. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks again, guys.